this top, I have folded my fabric into 4. I'm cutting the front and back together, although the back is going to be a little bit longer than the front. So I use the length that I want for the back to fold it. Then I'm going to cut the front out of it. So the total length that I have is about 14 inches, which is what I want to use for my back. Yours may not be as long as that. And then for the front, I want it to stop on the chest line, which for me is 9 inches. And then I'm going to add 1 inch allowance, same allowance to that, to make it 10 inches. So from here I'm going to stop my front, and my back is going to extend to this place. So now, if your neckline is not going to be wide enough for your hair to pass through it, you need to have your zipper allowance, just like I have here, but I may not put zipper, so I'll just make my neckline wide. So the shoulder I'm working with is 15 inches divided by 2 is 7.5. And then on that point, I'm going to go down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. My neck width is going to be 4 inches, and then the neck depth for both front and back is going to be around 2 inches for the back, and then for the front I'm going to work with around 4 inches. So with my curved ruler, I'm going to connect all of this together. So this is my neckline for the back, and this is the neckline I'm going to work with for the front. So here on the shoulder, I'm going to connect my shoulder like this, and then from there I'll mark my neckline armhole measurement, which is 9. So I have 9 inches here, and at that point I'm going to take my bust measurement. The bust is 44, that's divided by 4 is 11, and then I'm adding 1 inch seam allowance to that. So from there I'm going to connect for my armhole. So I just place my curved ruler and then connect my armhole. Let me get a better curve. So I am connecting just like this. So I don't need my waist measurements, because the flare is going to be on the, it's going to cover the waistline as well. So this is the measurement that I need. So for the front, like I said, I need to sew my flare to it, so I can't just cut it from here. I'm adding 1 inch seam allowance to that. You need half an inch to sew your flare, and half an inch to join the sleeve as well. Remember, this has a sleeve, so I'll just leave enough to do all of this for me, and then I'm going to make it a straight line. So this is where my first front length is stopping. So for the back, like I said, I don't want the back to just stop on my shoulder, just want it to be a little lower at the center back. So to this you can add 3 to 4 inches. I think I have extra 4 inches here. So whatever it is that you're adding, just make sure that here you have to blend this. Remember, our seam allowance is here. This is where the actual measurement stops. So whatever it is that you add to this, you make sure you blend it to your front on the side, because we are going to be cutting the side, we're going to be joining it on the side, so it has to be the same thing. So you can see I just slanted my curved ruler now, so that my center back is going to remain the length that I want, but for the side it's going to meet up with what I have coming on the back. And that is all you need to do. So now I'll grab my scissors. I'm going to cut the back first, because remember, the back length is the longer part. So I'll cut it out. I'll cut my back neckline as well. I'll cut the shoulder and the armhole. Then I'm going to, can remove your back, and then we'll cut the front from it. So this is my, you can see I've cut it, and you see that the side remains exactly the same. So for the front, since the front is just on top of it, I can easily lift it up to cut out the front neckline that I want for my front, and then I'm going to cut the length that I want for the front as well. So you can see this is the length that we have for the front, and the back is just a little longer, especially on the center back. So you're going to go ahead and sew the shoulder together as well as the side. That was why I emphasized that your side seam has to match. Okay, so now this is what we have. So you can cut facing for it, or use your bias to turn the neckline if that is what you want. I'll go ahead and join my shoulder and my side seam, and then I'm working with a long sleeve for this. So I have cut out my basic long sleeve, so I'll join all of them together now and bring it back for us to see. So the bodice is sewn now. You can see this is the front, which is lower, and this is the back, which is higher. Okay, so now in this situation you can just line it. You cut lining for this and line it fully to make it finer, but this is just for the tutorial. You can see that I have attached my long sleeve as well. So now what you just need to do is to measure around your chest area. Okay, so you measure around for the front and back to get your circumference measurement to draft your flare. I have measured around my both front and back. I have about 44 inches for that. So if you want to add a little gather, you need to add to that measurement, but for me I'm going to maintain the 44 inches that I have there. So I'll just cut a little bit of this paper to explain it for us. The flare is an low flare. Okay, the front is going to be high up while the back is going to be lower. So the total circumference that I'm working with is going to be, let me just make it the waist, the round waist is going to be 44 inches. Okay, that's the total space where we're putting the flare. So now we're going to be dealing with the front length and back length separately, since it is not the same length. So for my front length, I want everything to be around 20 inches. Remember, I already used 9 inches for the half length, so which means I have 11 inches left for my flare. And then for the back length, I want everything to be around 30 inches. So it's just going to be 10 inches longer than the front, and I've already used around 14 inches for the half length, so I have about 16 inches left. So for my flare, the front is going to be 11 inches and the back is going to be 16 inches. So to know the radius that we're going to be working with to cut out this flare, you're going to divide your waist, this 44 inches, we're going to divide it by 6.28 for a full flare. That's a constant. So dividing this will give you around 7 inches. So that is the radius that you're going to be marking out to cut out the radius that we're going to be attaching this flare to. So now if you have a radius of 7 inches, so that's going to be for both the front and back. So to get the total amount of fabric that I'm going to need, so for the front, what I'll just do is take my front length and add it to the radius, and that's going to give me 18 inches. And for the back as well, I'm going to take my back length, which is 16 inches, and then I'm going to add it to the radius as well, and that's going to give me around 23 inches for the back. So this is the amount of fabric that you are going to need. So now we're going to cut it together first before separating it. So to cut it together, we'll simply add the front and back length together, and that's going to be 18 plus 23 inches, which is 41 inches, I think. Okay, so 41 inches. So that is the amount of fabric that I'm going to fold to cut my flare. So what you just need to do is to grab your fabric, then you are going to measure 41 inches here. So once you have your 41 inches, you're going to fold to cut your flare. Okay, so like I said, you cut it together first before separating. Remember, the total fabric we are working with is 41 inches. So what you are going to do is to take your fabric, you measure the 41 inches. So once you're assuming this is your 41 inches, you're going to fold it just like this. So you have 20 and a half on this side and 20 and a half on the other side as well. So after folding into two, remember it's a full circle flare, we are going to fold again into 4. So you have 20 and a half here, 20 and a half here. So what we're going to do now is on this radius, on this starting point, we measure 20 and a half all round, and then we'll cut it out. So I'll do this with my fabric. Okay, so we can see now that I have gone ahead to mark it on my fabric, and this is exactly 20 and a half, and I marked it all round, so you can see what we have. So by the time I open it into half like this, it's going to give me the 41 inches that I need. Okay, remember, I need a total of 41 inches for both the front and back. So after opening it up like that, so have a half circle, you're going to have your 41 inches. So to cut out the waistline, remember the total length that we are working with for the front is 18, and then for the back is 23. So I'm just going to mark the 18 inches from the starting point here. I'm going to mark 18 inches. So once I get to 18 inches, I'm going to fold it over like this. So you can see I have folded it over. So now in front here I have 18 inches for my front, and then if you check the back I have 23 inches, just like we measured it. You can see this is our front length and this is our back length. So now to remove the waistline that we need, remember our waist is 7 inches, the radius for our waist is 7 inches. So after folding like this, what you just need to do is to mark out the 7 inches from this hanged part here. So now because it's folded together, we are cutting for both front and back waist together. So I'm marking the 7 inches all round, and by the time we take away the 7 inches, we're going to have our actual length for both front and back. Remember, for the front is going to be 9 inches, and for the back is going to be, I think around, it's going to be 11 inches, sorry, for the front, and for the back is going to be around 16 inches for our flare length. So after connecting like this, I'm going to cut it out, and I'm going to simply notch this part to be my front. Remember, the front is going to be lower, okay? The front is just going to be 11 inches in length, so you can see 11 inches, and for the back we are going to have 16 inches, just what we measured. You can see 11 inches, 16 inches before we added the radius to it. So now this is what our flare looks like. You can see that it is higher in front, and then the back is going to drop lower. So what I'm going to do now is just to bring in my bodice, and I'll go ahead and sew my flare to it. So the notch that I have in front is going to guide me. You can open the back up, especially if you are fixing a zipper, sorry. So you need to slash open your center back so that you can run your zipper through it. So now if the center back is open, this makes it easier for you to work with. So I'll just go ahead now and sew this to my bodice and bring it back to show us what we have. So I have sewn it, and you can see what I have here. This is the front. You can see where the front stops and where the back extends to. Like I said, I want my front length to be around 20 inches. So here I have about 20 inches for the front, and then for the back I have 30 inches, okay, for the back. Remember, the half length of the back is actually longer than the front as well. Remember, we used 14 for the half length of the back, and then the flare is also longer than what we have in front. So now this is what it looks like. The flare is a full flare and it's really beautiful. I'm going to take it to the mannequin now so that we can see what it looks like.